here we're going to graph a sine equation with kind of a lot going on. So we'll just walk through this step by step and figure out what this graph is going to look like. Okay. We're just going to start with the amplitude. Now your amplitude, you want to remember, will be found right in front of the sine or cosine. So that is going to be, that's your A value. Your amplitude, or your A value does separate from your sine or cosine with multiplication. So our amplitude we know will be 2. Our period is found by taking 2 pi over b, and our b value is going to be found either right in front of the x. If there's a horizontal shift, it'll be right in front of that parentheses. So our b value is 2. So we have 2 pi over 2, which equals just pi. So that's going to give us the size and the shape of our graph. Now we want to identify a horizontal shift and a vertical shift if we have those. Your horizontal shift can be found by looking at your x. Do you have anything inside parentheses with the x? So anything in with the x will indicate that you are going to shift your x values, which means you'll have a horizontal shift. And this is the tricky x. It's x plus pi over 2. We're going to shift in the opposite direction of plus, so we're going to the left toward the negatives. We're going to shift to the left that pi over 2. That is your c value. Vertical shift, you want to look either at the beginning or at the end of your function to see if you have any numbers separated by a plus or minus. That will be our vertical shift. So, you know, I can see there's nothing out here, but over here I've got this -2 separated with a plus sign. That is our vertical shift. It's very straightforward, nothing tricky about a vertical shift, so it is going to go down 2. Alright, so let's get the original graph up here and then do our shifting. This is a sine graph. Sine graphs always start at the origin. Amplitude is, period is pi, so I'm going to go over to pi. That is the end of the cycle. So I have to fit one full cycle between those 2 points. Next will come our middle value, still on the x-axis. And then halfway between the first 2 points, we're going up to the amplitude at a +2. Halfway between the last 2 points, we're going down to a -2. So there's our original graph before any shifting. Now we're going to take each point and shift it to the left pi over 2 and then down 2 spaces. Pi over 2, we do want to know how many spaces that is on this graph. Our x-axis is labeled in terms of pi. Since pi is 4 spaces, pi over 2 will be 2 spaces. So I'm going to take each point and go to the left 2 and down 2. So this one is going to end up right there. And I'm going to erase that so that's not part of my graph. So point by point, you know, this one, if I go to the left 2 and down 2, I end up right there. The next one to the left 2 and down 2, and then so on and so forth, and you can see my new graph in its new position is taking shape. And here's one cycle of our sine function that has been shifted to the left pi over 2 and down 2 spaces. We do want at least one more cycle on here, so you know, if you're good at visualizing where that is, go ahead and plot those points. Otherwise, you can look at what your period is, and your period is pi, so I can go point by point. I can take this point, go to the left pi or 4 spaces, and that's going to be the same point in the cycle before it. And you can do that with every single point in the cycle that you already have drawn to get the shape of your second cycle. And there we have a beautiful sine curve shifted correctly, hopefully I think it is. And looks like a big mess up there when you look at the equation, but when we break it down one at a time, it's pretty doable and kind of fun.